Lori.
Hi.
Welcome to my Zoom/podcast.
I love it. It just
So,
is what it is.
it is what it is. So we are here to talk today about competition. I actually have several ladies I'm going to be talking about, and I want to kind of get your view from inside the competitive world, because obviously I have been there, and so we're going to have some discussions, but there's just some questions I want to ask. So our listeners, if they do not know you, tell us who you are. Tell us what you do, like in the real world when you're not competing. People think, that competitors are just competitors, but we have all other kinds of jobs too, right?
We don't all live at the gym or work at the gym.
Right. So tell us
uh,
about you.
so I'm Lori, and I'm actually a high school math teacher. One perk of being at a high school, though, is that there is a weight room there that I made sure I knew how to have access to, just in case COVID shut down gyms again, which they haven't yet. We're going to keep our fingers crossed.
Nice.
So I basically go to work, I teach, and go to the gym, and I'm at home. And when I'm at home, one of my favorite things to do is I am a big part of Bachelor Nation. Proud to
Bachelor
say it.
Nation. Is
Oh,
this
yeah.
the show, The Bachelor?
Oh, yeah. The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, Bachelor in Paradise, all about it. I've actually bridged into, I like spoilers now because I want to know there's a happy ending coming. So I'm all about that. And then video games. My husband and I really enjoy getting down on some games.
What is your favorite video game, Lori?
Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. Maybe Super
Nice.
Mario World. I kind of
Mm.
like both.
My youngest son would be with you on the Mario for sure. That's like one of his favorites. But lately he's been into Crash Bandicoot racing of something, I don't know. But anyway, so that's a whole nother story on video games. But so some of the things that people may want to know. One of the things that I often questioned. I have been in the competitive world for a very long time, but something that our listeners may not know about you is you have competed how many times now? One.
Just once.
One
Just
show, right? And
once.
when was that show?
December 2020, it was the OCB Richmond show. So it's the finale of the OCB competing season.
Nice. So my boyfriend is prepping right now for the Yorton Cup. And so, that's a big deal. They did not have the Yorton Cup last year because of COVID. So we actually started last year together in prep. He actually started in February of 2020. I started in March of 2020. We both went through it up until about June, end of June, when we were at the beach. I think they finalized that nothing else had been planned for the Yorton Cup, and I think it was just going to be postponed right to 2021. So he stopped. I kept going, and so that was not fun. But anyway, so how was your first show experience overall?
Well, I will tie in with what you just said and say overall, I technically finished out qualifying for being able to compete in the Yorton Cup this year if I chose to, because I did get 5th place in my open class. So
nice.
that's a good experience, right?
So
First
are you
show,
gonna do it?
No. No. One, with it not happening last year, I'm just not ready for that level of crowds. And two, I'm still learning about the whole process and experience. But one show and I was hooked. Just the whole environment is so supportive. You get backstage and it's not you're in line with people that you're competing against. You're in line with people who are like, hey, can I fix that strap on your suit for you? It got twisted. Like, you're in line with just everyone who wants everyone to look amazing because we all know how hard we work to get there. And it's just an environment that you want more of because it's addicting in a way, but it's such a positive way and it's only good for you. So it's just one of those things where, yeah, once you're in, you're pretty much in it. One of my friends is actually prepping for her first show in the wellness division in September. And I even told her, I was like, go with the suit that is your heart is pulling you towards the most right now, because if you're anything like me, you're going to finish your first show and want to do a second one so you can get another suit another time.
Right, right. So I think, I think in the competitive world, I have found it's like you don't get a lot of people that are in it for the long haul, but I see people that are either like they'll have a good several years that they want to do it and they're in it, or you've got on this side, I've seen so many like one and done. Like people like challenge themselves to get to that point, and that's great. But you were talking about the supportive, the supportive experience backstage. And I think a lot of the time people don't let themselves absorb all of that, when it comes to the show. And it's because it is really, really hard. And I think that it matters a lot too, like what division you are in, because some divisions obviously have to cut a lot more to be leaner, right? And so it does become like I will say, like, every time I compete, it's harder, and you get to like exhaustion level. It is exhausting. But if you get there, like when you get to that show, and like all of the people that are back there that have gone through the same thing as you, that's when like that's when you bond with people, because like that they have gone through all of that crap to get there the same as you. Like one of my really good friends lives down in the Keys now in Florida, but I met her in like 2013. No, 2012. I was still doing figure. I hadn't switched to women's physique yet. And I met her at a figure show somewhere, like maybe it was Norfolk or Hampton Roads or somewhere. I don't know, but we met there and we became really good friends, and we still talk and stuff now. And it's just like some people you meet and you've made friends for life, even if you're not near each other, and that's something that's really cool about it. So,
I definitely would agree with that, for sure.
okay,
One
so
of
December 2020.
mhm.
So what's going on with you now? Like what's this year? Is there anything going on for this year for you?
Well, so the original plan was I was looking at a smaller show, the Roanoke OCB Roanoke show in September, and
Yes, do it, Lori, because that's me. I will come to watch you and support you.
well, then we had a lot of unexpected vet bills, followed by some more unexpected vet bills, and oh yeah, a few more unexpected vet bills, all in the month of June.
Uh,
So financially, that did put the September show out, but I also know the promoter of that show because the promoter is also my posing coach. That thank you for hooking me up with.
yes, you're welcome. I love
shout
Tina.
out the yes, shout out the Tina Johnson.
Tina
Like,
Johnson. So if you're a competitor and you were watching this later on, y'all, Tina is amazing. Um, I will say she will snap you, whether it's in person or I just posed with her virtually. Like it was like boom, boom, boom. She knows how to cue you to hit what you need to hit. And like you should connect with her if you have any questions about it. And if I have show notes here, I'm going to post her in here. I will tag her. And but she is truly amazing. And so I would love to. I'm probably going to go to the show anyway. But so yeah.
yeah, but
Well,
I reached out to her and I was like, I am there if you need a volunteer for anything. I was like, I was going to compete, but that can't happen right now. But I'm there to help out. Whatever you need, you just tell me.
Well, come on, Lori, and we'll just go be backstage helpers, and we'll just like hang out at the same time. How about that?
There we go. Let's do it.
That would be awesome. So,
Yes.
so now since you're not going to do September show, what is next on the horizon for you?
So I did join a team that I'm working with, JFit. It's with Jermaine and Perry Woot Camp Fitness. They're great guys. One of my friends, Connie, I went to see her show and I got hooked up with them. And you just sense a vibe sometimes from people. So
Is she
our
on
plan
that
right
team
now,
too?
she works with them as well.
Well, you'll have to give me their connection
Yeah,
post
I will give
too.
you all the stuff. Yep.
Awesome.
But our plan is the OCB Richmond show this year. And if I'm ready, possibly the November show in Woodbridge. Because
That's
that was
OCB
their
also.
first question. Yes, both OCB. Yep. I told them, I was like, all right, we're going to find a way to make December happen. I don't know how yet, but we're going to find a way to make it happen. And the immediate question back was, will you get on stage earlier if you're ready? And the answer is yes. That's not a maybe question. Like, it's like, oh yeah, if I'm ready, let's do it. Let's find a way to make it happen. So that is the plan right now. So we are in the early phases of prepping for those.
Nice. So, those who may not know, competing is a very expensive sport. There are so many things that you don't think about. It's not just paying to enter the show and then you walk on stage, right? So, throw something in here, Lori. Like, what do you think? What do you think is the biggest expense as a female competitor?
I would definitely say for the average female competitor, the biggest expense is the suit. It doesn't have to be.
No, it's
But it
I
definitely
think
typically is.
it takes a lot of searching. There used to be several websites that I used that were like consignment, basically suits, and there are still some, and you can do rentals, but you know, they are, it's hundreds. Like it's hundreds. It can be thousands. It could easily be 1,000, but I mean, I've got like my limit, and still, it's like most people would not think, you know, even a good deal on a suit being like $400 to $600. That's a lot of money, unless
It
you know
paid
somebody.
under $100 for my suit.
Yeah, well, that's awesome because
But I
I have
also
not
think
been
it's a
so
smaller
lucky.
company. But
Yeah.
I'll Amber Competition Bikinis. I was
Okay,
not
we'll
disappointed with
link
it.
that in there as
I
well.
was not
Um,
disappointed.
but I have rented one of my favorite suits ever that I rented was Tammy Marie, and but I mean it was hundreds to rent, but I mean loved it. Like the color, the style, it's like you want to really try to stand out on stage, if you can. Um, you're judged on your physique, and you should be judged on your physique, but I am telling you, hands down, I have learned over the years that it does matter. All of the details matter. Your suit, the color of your suit, the fit of your suit, your skin color, your makeup, all of these are expenses, that it all adds up. There are so many things that you just, and especially like as a female competitor, I know from me versus my boyfriend, okay, he has a suit and the tan. That's it. You don't have to worry about makeup. You don't have to worry about jewelry. And I'm like,
Shoes, which is what I was most excited about at the time. Like
shoes,
that
yes.
that was really the hooker for me. I was like, I get a new pair of
Thankfully,
shoes.
women's physique, I don't have to have shoes. So I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah.
But
You get the
then
fun poses though. You get to have
women,
the most fun posing.
right? But then women's physique, you also have a routine. So then you have to do that. Um, so yeah, I love the poses and they definitely feel like the most natural to me, but then you have to get creative with your posing routine, right? So what do you think if there's somebody watching or listening that is a competitor or they're thinking about being a competitor, what would be your what would be a tip that you would give somebody that knows nothing that's considering competing?
Know why you want to do it. It doesn't have to be anything astounding or even necessarily worth sharing with anybody, but you have to know, why do you even want to do it? Because that's what's going to get you to the stage as ready as possible. I'll be the first to say I was not 100% on point my first prep for my first show. But I knew, and I was like, I'm going to get on that stage. I'm going to show off all of my hard work with my weight loss journey. I'm going to look the best I have ever looked. It doesn't matter if I could have looked better if I would have prepped more closer to 100%. I'm still looking the best I've looked in my whole life. And I wanted that moment and I wanted the pictures. Anything after that was to be determined. But I knew why I wanted to do it and it kept me going. And I got to the stage.
That's awesome. So what would you say to like if somebody's considering competing, do you think that like it's really important to like have a coach, or where should you start? Like, yeah, know your why and know why you're doing it, but what's my next step if I'm like, okay, yeah, I've been working out and I think that I want to do this show, and let's say I go online and I research and I know when the show is going to be and all that, what would be my next step?
I would highly suggest having a coach that you're working with, because having just someone that you can communicate with about your nutrition and your workouts, even if you don't need a lot of guidance in it, just having someone to say, okay, yeah, you should up your sets, or okay, yeah, we need a few more carbs or less carbs, that kind of thing. Do more cardio, do less cardio. Because that outside perspective, they're always going to see things you don't see about yourself. By nature, we are just our own worst critic.
Yeah.
And getting that outside opinion on what's going on with our physique and how it's changing or not changing is so important. That being said, you can't just pick any coach. Like for me, I won't eat broccoli. I won't do it. It's not going to happen. And I need a coach that's not going to be like, well, you just have to, because I know I'm not going to. I need a coach that will be able to be like, okay, well, let's do this instead then. Like I need someone that's going to work with you.
Yeah.
In I'm in a couple of bikini competition groups on Facebook, and I see all the time someone asking about, does anyone have like a vegan coach recommendation or vegetarian, this and that? And it's just like, if that's your lifestyle, that's great, but you do need someone that's going to work with that and understand that. And you want someone that you're going to be able to feel open with and be able to go, I had a cheeseburger. I
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't have, but I did it. Now what? Like you have to have someone that you can be honest with,
And
because
you have to
they
be
can tweak in
honest.
the moment.
You
Mm-hmm.
have to be honest with you. I mean, like, I'm a coach. I got two girls now who were prepping to compete, and honesty is key because, like, I know every week when they send me their check-in photos, you can tell. And like, even coaches need coaches. And like, I have gotten myself to the stage, and I have used coaches to get me to the stage. And honestly, using a coach, they don't do anything necessarily even different than I would do, but having somebody else look at my pictures is worth that, because you need reassurance that you're on the right path, because even another week or two makes a big difference in prep. And like, I might, because like looking at yourself, even me looking at my own pictures, I am better able to analyze my picture than I am myself in the mirror because I've been doing this for 20 some years. However, I feel better, especially the closer I get to competition. I feel better if somebody else is just looking at them because it's like, you got other stuff going on in your life. It takes the worry out of it. Like, you can't try to figure all of this out on your own. It's too hard. So you do need that support system. But I will say, keep your support system like small. Don't go way outside. Like, one of the things you probably get into with like being in different groups is you have so many opinions, right? And it's like, it's information overload. And I've said this before, and it's like, you can only use so much information. So by having a coach that is going to support you and give you feedback, and that you are there to take their advice, you can kind of block out all the other. But when you're not sure where your advice is coming from, you tend to listen to too many things, right? And then you just get confused. Would you agree?
Yes, for sure, for sure. I'm in the groups, and it's really as just like an observer role, and it's
I just
really
like, I
just
have to
sometimes
block stuff out.
someone,
I'm like,
yeah,
there are so many things. If I have seen some group posts and stuff, I'm like, just hit the X button. Because I want to go in and say things, and it's like, I just shouldn't say anything. It's like my mom used to tell me growing up, if you don't have anything nice to say, Holly,
don't say anything at all.
So it's like, okay, exit. I'm just leaving because like I'm gonna say something that's not so nice. And
Yeah.
and a lot of times too, when you get into a group like that and you're like typing a response, it's like text. It's like when you text somebody, you don't have the emotion in there, or like it's so easy to misread what somebody is saying to you, right? And you're like thinking that they're being ugly, and it's like, no, I was. So it's just better just to not say things sometimes. Yep. So okay, so Lori, probably end of the year, on your next competition, tell me something, or tell our listeners something. What is something that you have definitely learned from your first prep that you will use for your second prep? What has been like one of the most important things?
You can't practice posing too much. And it's okay to be posing in the middle of the gym in between sets. It's totally fine. Nobody cares. No one cares what you're doing at the gym. And if they do care, it's probably because they're just at the gym hanging out and not actually working out anyway. So it doesn't matter what they think anyway, because they're not doing anything.
My boyfriend is very good about doing his posing like in between sets. I am not so much. I am this shy. As many times as I've competed.
Oh, I'm with you. I practice my torso twisting. I just sit and I turn and I'll hold it if I'm feeling kind of chicken, but I'm just like, okay, I can at least do all of that. Or I'll do just my feet movements.
Definitely right. I have learned, I think that it's really important with posing that you start way far out. Like, I would say give it a good 8 to 12 weeks of posing for a certain amount of time every day, even if it's just like 15 minutes a day. You would be amazed at, number one, how much that's going to stick in your head, like how those positions are. Because I've told people this before, but I always thought that my back pose looked a certain way. I felt like I was doing it the right way, but what you feel and what you see are not the same. So like, I almost have to pose to where it feels wrong in my head, but I remember what that wrong felt like, right? So I have to, like, it's memory. And every time you pose and you can hit that pose over and over, you're training your muscle to hold that. I swear to you, That was one of the things in this past, I think it was the Olympia. Big Ramey, I think, was Big Ramey, won the Olympia. And the thing that everybody was saying that put him out above the rest was his posing, because he could hold it, and he held it for so long. And he said, this is what I did every day. Like, he held it to the point where it was painful to hold that pose anymore, but it conditioned him. So when he got on stage, he could hold that and it wasn't a struggle. And he had said from the previous year, it was like you could see on stage, he got exhausted. He was sweating. It was like you're dying to relax. He didn't do that this time. And it made him excel above all of the others. And that's what made him one, is his posing and his ability to hold that, because it is much harder than you think, y'all. When they say relaxed posing, it's not relaxed at all. It's still hard.
No.
And you have to be able to hold that. So it is conditioning your body, and it's memory, and it's over and over and over. And the more you do it, the better it's going to be. And it should just be like natural. And that's one of the things, a lot of competitors will do all of the training to get there, but then they won't be able to hit the pose or hold the pose, or it's off, And so that's why a professional with posing is going to be like invaluable to you, because they can correct you. And like Tina is so amazing at that. So anyway, any final words, Lori, for somebody that just needs to know something that maybe you have learned? Anything else that you could give them advice on?
There's no stupid question. Don't be afraid to ask it, and ask it to anybody. Everybody started somewhere, and if there's anything I've learned about the world of bodybuilding, is that if, let's say, you ask me and I don't know the answer, I am certainly going to direct you to someone that probably will. So you'll eventually get whatever information you're seeking. Probably too much information, which is not a bad thing when it's good information. So just don't be afraid to ask and inquire. That was what started it all for me. Was I just got kind of curious one night being bored and just started looking up what suits look like. And I remember telling my husband I was like, do you know people pay over $1,000 for their suit in a bodybuilding competition? And he's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm just looking stuff up. This is astounding to me. And lo and behold, a few months later, I have my very own suit and shoes, and I'm getting on that stage. So
Awesome.
if you're curious, just do the research, start asking the questions, because you never know what's going to spark you to take some action.
Well, Lori, be sure that you send me your links to your team. I've got Tina's information, and then your suit. Who fixed your suit, and I will put that in when I post this on YouTube. And definitely thank you so much for being here. Great tips, I think. And always, if you have questions for me at any time, anybody can ask me questions. You can find me at Fit with Holly on Instagram. That's also my YouTube channel. So if you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, subscribe to my YouTube channel. And I will hopefully be seeing you at a competition very soon, Lori.
Yes, we're making it happen.
All right.
Maybe you'll join me on that December stage. Maybe.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm not joining you on the December stage. We're going, Lori. I'm only competing on even years now. That's my goal. So.
Okay.
All right. 2022 is my year.
Okay, right? I got you.
All right. All right. Thanks.